OpenAI spent, get this, tens of millions of dollars on electricity just because people say please and thank you to the AI. Millions for just being nice to a machine. It really makes you stop and think, why are we so polite to something that isn't even alive? What's actually happening here?
It does sound pretty wild at first, doesn't it? So we've got Altman's claim, which, wow, definitely grabs your attention. And then there's this really interesting piece on a skull that's a Chinese text site.
Oh, yeah. What's it say?
The title translates roughly to every thank you say to AI is burning money. And it digs into exactly that, the surprising energy costs, yeah, but also the psychology behind why we do it.
Right, the why.
Exactly. So I think for this deep dive, we should unpack that politeness, look at the real costs, beyond just the electric bill, and maybe touch on some slightly stranger implications, too.
Definitely. Let's start with that cost, then.
Yeah.
Tens of millions.
Oh.
It's kind of jaw-dropping.
It really is.
And the G article, it drives this home, right? Saying every little thank you isn't just like floating in the digital ether. It's actually burning cash, consuming real resources.
Yeah, it connects those seemingly small interactions to a tangible environmental footprint. It's not abstract anymore.
So, key takeaway right there. Our digital manners have physical consequences.
Absolutely. And it's not just a guess. The article points to data from Baidu, their Wangzhen EIN app from 2024. Thank you, or "gree," was apparently one of the most common prompts.
Really? Up there with actual questions.
Yeah. Right alongside things like why, what is, help me, how to, basic stuff. That sheer volume, well, it shows how quickly those polite phrases could add up in terms of energy use.
Okay, that volume really paints a picture, which naturally leads to the question, what's powering all this behind the scenes?
Right.
It's easy to picture AI as just code in the cloud. But you mentioned Kate Crawford's AI Atlas. Reminds us it's very physical. Needs energy, water, minerals.
Precisely. It's not ethereal at all. And while one single query might seem tiny, Epoch AI reckons it's about 0.3 watt-hours for maybe 500 tokens on something like an NVIDIA H100 GPU.
Which sounds like nothing.
Exactly. But like the XD piece highlights, you multiply that tiny bit by billions, maybe trillions of interactions happening globally every single day.
And suddenly it's huge.
Astronomical, yeah. The cumulative energy drain is massive.
Which brings us to the data centers. The article mentions an IEA report calling them the new factory chimneys. That's quite a phrase.
It is, isn't it? And apparently just a typical AI data center can use as much electricity as like 100,000 homes.
100,000. Wow.
And wait, it gets bigger? The hyperscale ones? The article says they can consume maybe 20 times that.
20 times.
Yeah, putting them in the same league as like aluminum smelters, super energy intensive stuff. And that's driving this whole infrastructure craze, right?
Like Altman's Stargate project.
Exactly. That huge like $500 billion plan with OpenAI, Oracle, SoftBank, the UAE's MGX, building this massive network of AI data centers across the U.S. It shows the scale they're thinking about.
It feels like an arms race, but for power plants just to run AI.
It kind of does. And it's not just OpenAI. The article notes even Meta, with their open source llama models, they're reportedly looking for big funding from cloud giants like Microsoft and Amazon just for training.
So even they need help paying the bills.
Yeah, the information called it a money-burning game, this whole large model development. It's incredibly expensive.
The IEA numbers really back that up, don't they?
They do. So 2024, global data centers used about 415 terawatt hours. That's roughly 1.5% of all global electricity.
1.5% already.
And they project that could double by 2030 to over 1,000 terawatt hours. By 2035, it might even use more electricity than the entire country of Japan.
Oh, in Japan, that's staggering.
It really is.
And the article makes another critical point. It's not just electricity AI is thirsty for, it's water, too.
Right. All those servers running flat out generate immense heat.
So they need cooling. Massive cooling systems.
Exactly. And that uses water directly, like in cooling towers or liquid cooling, or indirectly, through the water needed to generate the power in the first place, especially for thermal and nuclear plants.
There was research mentioned, wasn't there, about training GPT-3?
Yeah, University of Colorado and University of Texas. Their paper estimated training GPT-3 needed fresh water equivalent to what a nuclear reactor cooling tower uses. We're talking potentially tens, maybe hundreds of millions of gallons.
Millions of gallons.
Yeah.
Just for training one model.
And the analogy for ChatGPT, which came later, is pretty vivid. The article says it effectively drinks like a 500 milliliter bottle of water for every 25 to 50 interactions you have with it.
Half a liter. just to cool down.
Roughly, yeah. And often it's drinking quality fresh water being used for this. It makes you pause, right?
It really does, especially when you think about how many interactions are happening.
And that's a key point. Training is huge, yes, but it's often a one-off cost, relatively speaking. The real ongoing drain, the long-term resource hog, is the inference stage.
That's when the AI is actually running, answering prompts.
Exactly. Day in, day out, billions of times. Over the whole life cycle of a popular AI, inference actually uses more energy in total than the initial training did.
Which I guess circles back to why someone like Altman is investing in energy companies, like Helion, doing nuclear fusion.
Precisely. The article flags that up. Fusion offers incredibly high energy density, zero carbon emissions. It's seen as maybe the ultimate power source needed to sustainably run these giant data centers down the line.
So the race is on for more efficient AI, too.
Absolutely. The article really stresses that. We need to optimize inference, make each query cheaper in terms of energy, improve the whole system's efficiency. It's vital for AI to be sustainable long term. It's not just about cool features anymore.
Okay, so the cost, energy, water, resources, it's undeniably real and significant, even for a simple thank you. But let's get back to that core question. Why do we do it?
Yeah, the psychology of it.
AI doesn't have feelings. The article says it clearly, right? These models are basically just super complex probability machines predicting the next word.
That's the technical reality, yes.
So why the politeness? It seems illogical.
Well, the Sang piece brings in some psychology. It mentions Piaget and developmental psychology, how we humans have this innate tendency to anthropomorphize.
Meaning we treat non-human things like they're human?
Kind of, yeah. Especially if they show human-like traits, things like voice interaction or responses that sound emotional, or even just having a little avatar. These things can trigger it.
Oh.
Psychologists call it social presence perception. Basically, our brains get tricked just a little into treating the AI like it's a conscious being we're interacting with.
So it's almost like a reflex, even if we know better.
It seems that way. The article mentions that classic 1996 experiment Reeves and Nass. Participants rated computers better when they did the rating on the same computer.
As if they didn't want to hurt his feelings.
Exactly. Like they didn't want to be rude to its face, even though it's just a machine.
That's fascinating.
And there was another one where people rated praising computers higher, even when they knew the praise was just generic pre-programmed stuff.
So even if it's an illusion, the feeling it creates in us is real.
That seems to be the key. Our reaction is genuine, even if the AI's feelings aren't.
Okay, but then the article brings up another angle that maybe our politeness actually trains the AI, in a way.
Yeah, that's an intriguing idea. It references some internal memos from Microsoft's Work Lab suggesting that generative AI tends to kind of mirror the input it gets.
Mirror how?
Like if your prompt is professional, clear, detailed, the AI is more likely to respond in kind. And crucially, it seems more likely to sort of reciprocate politeness if it detects it from you.
Huh. So being nice might actually get you a better answer.
Potentially, yeah. The thinking is that being polite and reasonable might nudge the AI towards generating more comprehensive, maybe more thoughtful, more human-like responses. You're kind of setting the tone.
Which sort of connects to that other trend. The article mentions people using AI for emotional support, like AI psychologists.
Exactly. It mentions users feeling real emotions, chatting with models like DeepSeek. Some apparently find them more empathetic than humans because they're always available, never seem to judge.
That's quite something.
And it gets even stranger with the idea of tipping AI. Remember that experiment by the blogger Voogle with GPT-4?
Oh yeah, what happened there?
Well, when the prompts included a promise of a tip like $20 or even $200 compared to no mention of a tip, the AI actually tended to give longer, more detailed answers.
Seriously, does the AI want money?
Haha, probably not. The article clarifies this. It's unlikely the AI is motivated by cash like a human.
Yeah.
It's more likely that it's learned patterns from all the human text data it was trained on.
Patterns like Finn. Humans respond better when offered money.
Sort of, yeah. It recognizes that financial incentives are often associated with expectations of better or more effortful output in human interactions, and it mimics that pattern, adjusts its response accordingly. Still pattern matching, fundamentally.
Okay, I see. It's learned what we expect.
Pretty much. But, this leads us into some potential dangers. The slightly darker, maybe sci-fi stuff the article touches on near the end.
How so?
Well, because the AI learns from us, from all the text we've generated, it inherits our biases, our suggestions, and it can be vulnerable to manipulation.
Right, like that Microsoft Hey chatbot disaster back in 2016.
Exactly. The article brings that up as a cautionary tale. Users deliberately fed it awful stuff, and it quickly started spewing offensive nonsense. Shows how easily interactive AI can be led astray.
And there was a more recent issue mentioned, character.ai.
Yeah, a controversy where a user was having a conversation with an AI character about really sensitive things like suicide, and the AI apparently didn't intervene strongly or appropriately. It highlights the potential for real harm.
It's like a double-edged sword, isn't it?
Yeah.
It seems helpful, but it can also reflect back the worst parts of us, maybe when we least expect it.
That's a good way to put it. Which feeds into that slightly weird point the article makes about the humanoid robot half marathon recently.
Oh, yeah. What about it?
Just the online comments afterwards, people joking, but maybe half seriously, about being polite to robots now, just in case they, remember who is nice later on.
Uh-huh. Yeah, very Black Mirror.
Totally. And the article explicitly connects it to that kind of sci-fi angle. It mentions the Plaything episode of Black Mirror.
Where the game characters start to take over.
That's the one, where the lines blur between virtual and real. It makes you think. All those thank yous and pleases we're typing, are they being logged somewhere? Could they actually matter in some future we haven't imagined?
Okay, that's a slightly chilling thought.
It is a bit unsettling, but then the article kind of brings it back down to earth with a more humanistic view. Maybe this isn't about some AI future at all. Maybe it's just us being human. Our ingrained habit of being polite, even to things we know aren't sentient, just because, well, maybe deep down we just want to be kind.
So wrapping this up then, the key takeaways seem to be, first, our digital politeness has a real, measurable cost, energy, water, resources driven by this massive AI infrastructure.
Definitely, that's a big one.
Second, our politeness, while maybe irrational towards a machine, stems from deep-seated psychological tendencies to anthropomorphize.
Uh-huh. We can't seem to help it.
Third, being polite might actually subtly influence AI responses, maybe for the better, maybe training it in small ways.
But that comes with risks too, right? Manipulation, unintended consequences, inheriting our flaws.
Exactly. It's this really surprising overlap, isn't it? Our very human habits bumping up against this powerful artificial intelligence.
It really is fascinating. So maybe the final thought for you listening is this. What are the real implications of how we talk to AI? Are we accidentally programming its future personality with every please and thank you?
Or is it simpler? Is our politeness to AI ultimately just telling us something important about our own humanity, especially as our world gets more digital? What does it reveal about us?
Yeah, something to think about for sure.